Walking into the Backrooms, I honestly wasn't sure what to expect. Unlike a lot of longtime fans, I've never allowed myself to go too deep into the endless rabbit hole of the Backrooms lore, fan theories, creatures, levels, or internet mythology. I've always sort of stayed at the surface level of the concept because to me, part of what makes the Backrooms interesting is the mystery. Everyone has their own version of what is in their imagination. And once you start over-explaining horror, sometimes the fear starts slipping through the cracks. For anyone completely unfamiliar with what the Backrooms even is, here's a quick version. The concept originated online in 2019 from a single, unsettling image posted to an internet message board. The photo showed a strange, empty office-like space filled with yellow walls, stained carpet, and a humming sound from fluorescent lights. Someone added a short fictional description underneath it, imagining what might happen if you accidentally no-clipped out of reality. If you've never heard the term no-clip, think video game logic. Sometimes in games, a glitch lets you accidentally pass through a wall, a floor, or an object and end up somewhere you never were supposed to be in the first place. The Backrooms imagines what would happen if that happened to a human being in real life, slipping through reality itself and ending up trapped in an endless maze of impossible empty rooms. That creepy little internet idea exploded into the most fascinating modern horror phenomenon online. Then came Kane Parsons, better known as Kane Pixels, who turned the concept into a viral YouTube horror series built around found footage, limited spaces, and fictional organization called A24’s attempting to study the impossible dimension. Now, somehow, that creator has gone from making horror videos on YouTube as a teenager to becoming A24's youngest director ever at just 20 years old. That story alone is pretty incredible. The film itself follows Clark, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, a struggling furniture store owner battling alcoholism, trauma, and the emotional wreckage of a failed marriage, while attending therapy sessions with Dr. Mary Klein, played by Renette Reinsfair. Clark discovers something impossible hidden beneath the furniture store. A physical portal leading to the Backrooms. Once inside, reality starts to bend. The yellow maze stretches endlessly. Familiar objects begin appearing in distorted ways. Spaces feel recreated from fragmented memory, like a copy of a copy of a copy of something that once made sense but no longer does. The film also incorporates async research, monstrous entities, and psychological deterioration as the characters venture deeper into a place that clearly should not exist. And to the movie's credit, I actually appreciated that it doesn't fully explain everything. One of my biggest fears going into this movie is that it would over-explain the mythology and completely destroy the mystery that made the Backrooms compelling in the first place. Thankfully, Kane Parsons shows restraint. The film gives the audience more information, expands the lore, and answers some questions longtime fans have probably wanted answers to. But it doesn't give anything away. At the same time, it probably creates a few more questions. There are reveals in this movie that generally help me better understand the Backrooms, though, and what they actually might be. That worked for me. The problem is, I just never found the movie particularly scary. And I think that's the biggest issue I had with it. To be clear, this isn't a movie that doesn't have suspense, because it does. There's actually a lot of tension throughout the film. Parsons understands atmosphere. He understands anticipation. The movie consistently feels like it's building towards something terrifying, just around the corner. You're waiting for that moment where things finally click into that nightmare territory. But for me, the payoff rarely arrived. I kept feeling suspense. I rarely felt fear. And for a horror film based around one of the internet's most unsettling ideas, it's difficult to ignore. The creatures and entities that are meant to terrify never fully landed for me. There are moments of tension, yes, but very little that genuinely unsettled me or lingered afterwards. Ironically, I found the idea of the Backrooms scarier than almost anything the movie actually showed me, because the concept itself is terrifying. The thought of accidentally slipping out of reality, becoming trapped somewhere impossible, endless fluorescent hum, familiar spaces wrapped in something wrong, the fear of never escaping. Your imagination fills in so much of what that horror actually is. And sometimes, When the movie begins giving you answers to mysteries that once felt unknowable, something gets lost in translation. The unknown is often the scariest thing. I also struggled with how much the film spends on the emotional backstories of its characters. Clark's alcoholism, his divorce, and Dr. Mary Klein's troubled upbringing are all given a decent amount of attention. And I understand what the movie is trying to do. It's attempting to ground the surreal horror concept in emotional trauma and damaged people. But for me, those stories never felt important enough to justify the time spent there. I kept finding myself wanting the movie to simply start in the back rooms and leave us there. Let us get lost. Let us slowly uncover the mysteries of Async. Let us discover what this place is through survival, fear, and exploration. Instead, I often found myself waiting to get back to the thing I actually came to see. That said, I don't want to dismiss what the movie gets right. There's genuinely creativity here. The no-clipping mechanics are interesting. The idea that the Backrooms reconstructs distorted pieces of memory is generally clever, and gives the movie more psychological texture than I expected. Some of the lore reveals are worthwhile. The visual idea of familiar spaces becoming wrong works well at times, and Kane Parsons absolutely deserves credit for bringing something this strange and niche into the mainstream. And honestly, that's probably where I land on the movie as a whole. I respected the Backrooms more than I enjoyed it. This isn't a bad movie. It's just one that left me wanting more. More fear, more immersion, more time trapped inside the nightmare itself. And in a horror landscape filled with genuinely exceptional films right now, it becomes difficult not to notice the quality gap in terms of emotional impact and effectiveness. Horror fans don't experience movies in a vacuum. We choose where we want to spend our money and time. And while The Backrooms is certainly one of the most unique horror films of the year, I'm not convinced it's one of the strongest. Still, what Kane Parsons accomplished here deserves respect. The journey from an anonymous internet image to a viral YouTube horror to an A24 theatrical release is genuinely remarkable, and probably one of the coolest filmmaking success stories that we've seen in modern horror. In the end, The Backrooms may answer some questions about what lies beyond the walls of reality. But for me, the most unsettling place was still the version that existed in my imagination. And with that, I give this movie a 6 out of 10. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I genuinely love to hear your thoughts down below. Did The Backrooms work for you? Was the idea scarier than the movie itself? Let's talk about it. And if you enjoyed the review, don't forget to like and subscribe.